Right, welcome everyone. I'm Jonathan Denbach, the Marketing Director at TripSpark Technologies, and thank you for joining for us today for the discussion on technology and the future of community transportation. Every day we're seeing more reliance on new technologies that will change the way riders interact with their transportation, and how transportation operators respond to this growing trend. So today I'm pleased to host this discussion and hear the insights from industry leaders who are currently involved and advocating for implementing new technologies within their agencies. From STARTA, we have Greg Smith. He's the Senior Director of Information Technologies. From Manatee County, we have Lourdes Elcox, who's the System Manager. From Blackbird Transit, we also have Tim Witten, who is the Senior Project Manager there. Each of our guests is part of a community transportation organization that has been actively using technology to improve their service offerings. So hello speakers and welcome. So let's get started and learn a little bit more about your agencies. Let's start with Craig. What technologies are you currently using, and how has your agency embraced them?
Excuse me. Currently, we recently, back in 2011, we put out an RFP for an ITS solution. So that's what I'll touch on. This was a 2-year process, and we ended up going with the company called Avail Technologies. And what we ended up implementing would be computer-aided dispatch with automated vehicle location, an IVR for fixed route and paratransit. There's also a suite of web services which would allow our riders to, we call it sort of pinpoint, and it allows our clients to be able to look up fixed route, real-time bus information using their computers, cell phones, iPads, laptops, or tablets. And it shows the location, direction, and onboard counts of the passengers as well. Also, we use passenger information signs at all of our transit centers. So that's kind of in a nutshell what we did in the last, what we started in 2011, finished in 2013, and have been using it ever since. And as far as how our agency has embraced it, it's actually been a very good thing. We've been able to do a lot with every piece that we did end up implementing. It does a lot for our riders as well, and it's been great to have it. So.
Great, thank you, Craig. Let's flip it over to Lourdes and learn more about what Manatee is doing there.
So currently right now what we have is we have this suite of the Trapeze software right now. We are a small to mid agency, so we still have like fixed route and we do paratransit. So we have the Trapeze suite of like Pass Mom, Reports, FX, Blockbuster. And what we did was previously we did have an ITS system, but it wasn't as successful as we hoped to be. So we we're doing it in stages, and right now what we did was revive our paratransit section, and we have Novus AVL, which is also a Trapeze product. We use the Pass MDC, and we have Trek units which help our paratransit drivers have, their manifest digitally. So, and how our agency has embraced it, I know that in our paratransit side, the drivers as well as our passengers, they love it because prior to that, everything was done manually, and I know like a lot of agencies have gone through that, and there was a lot of radio chatter, and we weren't able to supply our passengers with a lot of trips. So now, because we have moved into a more automated system, we're able to actually complete like 4 to about 450 trips a day, which is a big thing for our agency, being a small to mid agency.
Perfect. And we'll go over to Tim at Blacksburg.
We were second or third street sites to go live for when it was Mentor, probably 8 years ago. All of our fixed route and paratransit fleet have Rangers. The paratransit side, we use a different vendor for our software in-house, but we still use Rangers with cellular. All the fixed route buses, 47 of them, we have Rangers, and we just recently moved off a radio in the last 6 months and moved that system over to a cellular system. We're using a Digi for a backbone. All those fixed route buses have automatic passenger counters. The Rangers also doubles as our fare counter since we don't take a lot of cash. We're a college-based system. It does AVL, GPS, route and schedule adherence, trying to think if there's anything else on the bus side. And then, so we've been very happy with the Streets product as far as for CAD, AVL, but our passenger information suite is called BT4U, it's the number 4, and we built all of that in-house on top of that. So we built a web service that pulls the data that we're getting from the Street system and then serves it up to our customer through about 6 different channels right now. So we have an in-house IVR system, we have web mapping, we have a texting service. Just in the last 8 months, we moved over and added a mobile application, and that's been a challenge if you haven't done a mobile app, but to get it and get it right is hard. And as far as how we've embraced that, when we get ready to do route and schedule planning, they come to me and they ask for data, which is really validation for what I've been working on for 8 or 9 years. We make decisions now about routes and schedules, headways and frequencies, where we serve, where we don't serve, based on the information that we collect. And it sounds pretty simple, but that's a hard process to get folks used to actually inquiring about that. And it's really helped us guide our service and figure out where it is. And we got to the point now where the drivers weren't interested, or the operators weren't interested in having equipment they'd interact with on the bus, and now they get upset when it doesn't work. And that took about 6 years, in case any of y'all were mid-deployment. But we have a pretty robust system, and doing some interesting things. I'm doing some research with the Virginia Tech Transportation Institute down the street, and we'll talk about some of that later.
So we can see from your various responses how each agency has unique needs when it comes to technology. With that in mind, what would you say is the #1 technology challenge your operation is facing today? Let's start off with Lourdes this time.
Well, right now it's technology basically is funding. That's our biggest challenge, is the funding and keeping up with the emerging technologies. Those are the 2 top. We have one more, which is, providing the needed service to our community because of that lack of technology that we have. And like I said, because we are a small to mid-agency, and because of the service we have, because we have minimal service right now. We want to expand it, and we're a very big county. It's just the county is very sparse. Like there's a lot of rural areas that people would love for us to get to, but because we don't have the funding and the technology to let us know where, the services are needed, that is our biggest challenge right now.
Okay, great. Tim, what are some of the challenges you're facing technology-wise at Blacksburg?
I think if funding is an issue everywhere, for us we've been pretty fortunate on the capital side. The state and the feds have been very generous as far as ITS deployments. The problem is that I don't have a lot of operating capital, and it's very hard for me to get and retain staff to help keep the systems running. I think folks, as you go into an ITS project or ITS deployment, sometimes getting the equipment installed and getting it stood up is the easy part. It's what you do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months down the road. So some real challenges with how we do funding. And then, being in a college community, we're expected to be at the forefront of technology. So if you might be somewhere else, you might have an opportunity to wait a couple of years and let stuff mature. We don't necessarily see that, and the pace of change is ever increasing. That's what Moore's Law teaches us. So I mean, just trying to keep up, and then trying to figure out how to pay for the operating costs. And if you look at a lot of the systems, a lot of the vendors are moving away from big capital projects and moving to things where they're hosted solutions and it's a monthly operating cost or something. And operating costs are I can get a grant for a lot easier than I can increase my operating budget.
Craig, how about some of your challenges?
He just said we've been here at SARTA. We've been pretty fortunate as far as the capital side of things. However, we've given our writers and in-house people a lot of technology. We've thrown a lot at them. I think the issue that we have run into is teaching our public about what's out there, letting them know everything that's available. For instance, for our paratransit side, it used to be people would call in and they would have to wait. They'd leave a voicemail and wait for someone to call them back. But since then, we've installed a new phone system where people call and they wait in a queue. And if you don't want to wait on a phone, just like anybody, like you call your electric company or whatever, you type your number in and it call them back. Well, we also offer that you can get on the web and book your ride. You can also call in to the IVR and book your ride on the IVR. You can cancel your trip, and with all of that, you can receive text messages about when your ride is coming. You can also receive an email or a phone call, previous day reminders. With all the different things that we offer, getting that information out to the public has been kind of the biggest challenge. We've done a lot of things like customer appreciation. We have a great team that does the social media side of things, and as far as trying to get the information out, but I think that's the biggest challenge. We haven't had an issue with maintaining the technology side or implementing the technology side. I think that our biggest challenge is letting our customers know it's there and having them use it. So.
It sounds like funding and capital are definitely a common trend within the transit industries and your three agencies specifically. That being said, based on some of the other unique challenges that are out there, how is technology, or how do you think technology help address some of those other issues you're seeing? And we'll start off with Tim this time.
Well, I think we're all looking towards MAP 21 and performance standards and being able to actually not just talk about the numbers, but talk about efficiencies and effectiveness of your service. And for me, being a little ahead of some of the ITS deployments in my state has really helped, because when they ask the questions about how are we doing on efficiency standards, I have that data, and I have that data for 4 years, and it's auditable, and it takes it's taken a lot of work, but it's very, very nice that we because funding challenges are coming, and MAP 21, if it's fully implemented, we're going to have to answer those questions. So we need to understand that. The other is that we're able to reach our consumers in ways that we never have before. You think about when I started 20 years ago in this industry, you put a sign up at the stop, you put a notice on all the buses. Sometimes we even handed out flyers to people as they got on the bus that were going to have a route change. Now I can, from my desk, I can reach, not all my riders, but 20 or 30% of them pretty quickly through Facebook and Twitter and some of the web tools. So, I mean, that's really nice to be able to reach out to them. And I think the next phase of that is, instead of having a one-way conversation, because I think sometimes when I talk to folks about Web 2.0 or what they're doing as far as marketing efforts, they're only talking to the consumer, that we also have an opportunity now to start getting information back from the consumer to really help us build better systems, help us better understand how people are utilizing our systems. And I think that's, for me, I'm really excited about that, because sitting here at my desk, I don't really fully comprehend. I can look at the numbers, I can look at a map, I can look at the ridership statistics, but that's not quite the same as talking to someone in a real conversation about how they're using the system. So there's three things.
Let's flip it over to Craig.
One of the things that we did do, specifically for our paratransit, we had an evaluation done, and this we basically just got that back. I mean, with all the data that we do collect through our ITS system and all the reports that we run, that we can run with everything that we have. We had a third party come in and do an evaluation and give us. We got a lot of information back from that, from the data side, or just based on the numbers, and that did a lot for us. However, we had started a new. One of our major issues was we had begun contract services back in January, and it basically changed our business model. And I think what we did, we used we had trapeze come back in. We had you all, TripSpark Trapeze, come in and do a health check, and it helped us learn what we could do to be more efficient with those contract services and integrate our new business practices into how our system was set up. And with that, we ended up hiring a contract administrator to be a single point of contact for those contract services. And along with the data that we were getting as they were doing the evaluation and what you all did when you came here, it had a major impact on our bottom line when it came to on-time performance, when it came to the number of trips we were able to do, because we became more efficient. And we're still tweaking the system and getting better results. I mean, we had a 6% increase on-time performance, which I think for any agency that's huge.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that, Craig. And we'll flip it over to Lourdes now to wrap up this question.
So I guess I would start off with how can, I guess, the technology, help us address some of our problems. We basically want to manage our transit resources more efficiently, and that, if we had the technology to provide us with the data, basically where the service is most needed, then that would help us out a lot. We would also, be able to provide real-time information to our, for vehicle location to our dispatchers, our partners, and our customers. Another thing would be to, integrate technology to support all our onboard operating systems. I guess lastly, what I would say is to basically enhance the image of Manatee County government in our community. I mean, we do a lot of, recently we have added some routes further up our county, which is our northern county, which is very rural. And we provided a lot of, got a lot of feedback through social media of what was needed, and if we had, I think, more technology to gather that information, it wouldn't have taken us that long, because it basically took us several months to put this route together, to, this additional route. But I think that's, for me, it's more how can the technology, the hardware, software help us, solve our problems, and that would be a few of our problems.
Lourdes, you just went through a kind of a rebrand recently, didn't you? How did that play into, I guess, engaging the community?
Well, that, whenever we do something like that, we do community outreach through social media, through the newspaper, public hearings, and that was received very well. What started the whole thing is that our county had changed their logo. And with that logo, because we're in Florida, sunny Florida, basically it was more like a beach theme. So that rebranding was based on that logo. And, if you ever look into mymanatee.org, you'll see the color, basically the water, the sun, and it was well received because we had kind of like a darker blue type buses and our shelters, bus stops, signs, and everything. And it was, people felt like, okay, at first they didn't know what to think of it, but they really, really, we got positive feedback from it. So, and it's gone very well. We're still going through the process of changing all of our shelters out and making them ADA compliant. At the same time, then we're going in and putting in the new brand of, the new branding on all the bus stops, shelters, and and our transfer stations.
One of the things that seems to keep coming up is about rider satisfaction and connecting more with the riders. I know a few of the points that have come up is using social media more, rider information, real-time information. How have your individual agencies been able to discover how riders have been responding to these new technologies, and what kind of programs are you kind of putting into place to connect with riders using your technology? Let's start off with Tim this time.
Like I said, we branded under BT4U, and that's kind of, we get feedback on that. I think it's interesting where we are that I tell folks at other agencies who aren't in college communities that, we're probably 10 or 12 years ahead, or maybe 5 years ahead of what your ridership is going to be demanding. And I find it amazing now when we deal with, freshman orientation or transfer orientation, the folks that come in, they've been using smartphones their whole life. The Domino's has a pizza tracker, so they know exactly when the pizza's going to be there. The expectations have changed to where, everything else in your life, you know exactly where it is and when it's going to be there. They expect the same thing out of the bus. And so, the riders have responded favorably, to us providing the information, but they get upset when it's off by just a few seconds or a few minutes. And I think that's something we need to understand, is that the exactitude that exists in everything else you do in your life, people expect the same thing out of your transit system. But overall, they've been very happy. I think when you're dealing with this 18 to 25-year-old group that we are, they're much more environmentally conscious. They're much less likely to have a car. They're going to be more transit dependent, but they also expect you to have a much higher level of technology than maybe a more traditional rider, especially someone like myself, over 40. We've got a favorable response, but they're not very forgiving. When my app doesn't work, they come to me and say, well, Bank of America's app always works, or First Union or the banks always works, and sometimes it's tough to explain to them that as a government agency, I don't have the same resources to bring in. But overall, the customers are very happy. I think the other is when if you go look at the BT4U program that we built, we have a lot of different channels because there's not a one-size-fits-all solution. If we think about information equity, if we think about where the technology is going, I can't just provide information through Twitter. I've got to look at multiple, and that just adds complexity. So there you go.
Thank you, Tim. It also sounds like in that age group they have a much higher expectation of what technology should be like and how it should be used. Lourdes, we'll flip the question over to you and kind of how you're engaging riders.
Okay, so I guess our riders have not been exposed to much technology because, like again, I said we're a smaller mid-agency, but we've kind of followed the county because we're part of the managed county government. We follow their trend, and we try to engage a lot, which we do with the social media, with Facebook and Twitter, and we do get a lot of response that way. We do get a lot of response that way. We have a range of passengers because we have from the younger group, and we're in Florida, so it's retirement capital of the United States. So we have a lot of, a very a range of ages here. So we have to, supply information for the ages. So we got the younger group that will deal with the social media. But then we have the older groups that do not even deal with social media. So that's when we do a lot of the community outreach. And we have to do it through public, to public hearings or through, through TV or something like that. But, right now we try to reach our community that way, our riders that way, and the response has been positive for the little that we're doing. Even last year we put in Google Transit, and that was a positive effect for our, our ridership right now. So, as you ask more questions, there's more to come from Manatee County Area Transit. So.
Great, and that'll tie nicely into the next question about what your future plans are. Craig, let's flip it over to you and learn about how you're kind of engaging riders and how your riders have responded to the new technologies you're rolling out.
One of the things here at SARTA, we have a great marketing team. I brought that up a couple of times, but we have a great group of travel trainers who teach people how to ride the buses. And our technology, what we began doing was wrapping all of the information about the technology that we offer on fixed route and paratransit into the travel training, because they're the people for our new riders or people who've ridden before but they haven't ridden in a while. It gives them a new look at what is all available. That's one way. We have a Twitter, Facebook, just as all you all do. We have a big social media front in which that's where I find out when the app's not working, because it just lights up. Hey, it's not working. Everyone's screaming and hollering. They want to know where their bus is at, and that's how a lot of people know. Because you can set up alerts on the app. You can do a lot of different things that alert you to your specific stop when that bus is going to be there. If I say I want to know 10 minutes beforehand, they get an email or a call and says, your bus is headed towards your stop in 10 minutes or whatever you set. Also, our website, you can send in comments, of course, and we log all those. We also have a website for our paratransit people who they log in when they book their rides, and that's also a resource where they can comment and let us know or ask questions or anything like that. For contracted services that we do offer, we've held different events or gone to different events to help attract people and inform everyone of what SART is doing, what the new technology is, and how it can best benefit them. Our Pinpoint marketing, which is called SARTA Pinpoint, is a great tool, and what we started doing is adorning our shelters with the information on how to use the app, how to use what you can do. So those are the types of things. We send out a lot of mailers to our paratransit and anyone who has sent in comments and left their email. We send out information to them to let them know what all is available. The response has been wonderful, and as Loris had commented, but when something goes wrong or if it's down, we hear about it. So I think that our plan to push more information out and let everyone know about it is working, because I know almost instantly when something's not working. If they can't pull up on a computer, I know when there's an issue because so many people are using it. That's what we've been able to do here.
So all three agencies are definitely finding success using different technologies in different ways. Do any of you have immediate plans on kind of what technology you want to do in the near future that you can touch on briefly? We'll start off with Lourdes this time.
Well, what we're planning to do again, we are in the process right now of procuring a ITS system. And we're going to actually do it in phases because we had some prior experience, not great experience. So we are sectioning it off in phases so that, not only we have the funding, but we also have the resources to be able to implement the technology. So our first phase we're looking at is putting in automatic passenger counters on our fixed route, because right now our fixed route systems do not have technology on them. Then our second phase would be that we would do our fixed route, like do CAT AVL on our fixed route and automatic voice annunciator. So we are also, we're doing our branding, our new shelters, we're doing them in ADA compliant and with the automatic voice annunciators that would also help us be ADA compliant. Our next phase is by the time we finish, because I know it was mentioned before, it does take several years to implement like an ITS system. So our third phase is going to be that we're going to upgrade our paratransit CAT AVL, because by the time it'll be probably about 2 years when we when we finish doing the APCs and the CAT AV on the fixed routes. So by then, paratransit CAT AVO would have met its life expectancy. So our last phase that we're thinking of would be the real-time information for our passengers and, basically our yard management, because we are looking to move into a new facility in a couple of years, which is going to help us expand our fleet, mainly in fixed route, not in paratransit, because in paratransit we're just where we need to be right now. But that's what we're looking to do in the near future, and also, as was mentioned before, was a PASS IVR system for our paratransit, because we live in Florida, have a lot of hurricanes, and that's a dire need for them for when we have our emergency evacuations. So that's what MCAT has in mind for the near future.
Tim, what do you guys have kind of coming in the pipe for the immediate future?
Well, on the ridership information side, we just finished up building what we call a roadmap, which is a strategic plan for where we're taking BT for You, and we just got that put up on the website a couple months ago. So that, as far as where I'm going with ridership information, it's that direction. We're going less, we've been investigating wayside signs and some electronics, and we're really moving away from any fixed deployment right now. I think we're in the process of doing a multimodal facility, so we'll be doing some signage and stuff there. But as far as individual stops, I think we're looking more at consumer level, smartphones, the application. On the buses, we're trying to get Wi-Fi addressing and MAC. We're trying to look at people if you get on a bus with a cell phone with a Wi-Fi on, we can look at that MAC address and see where you get on the bus and where you get off. I'm really interested in getting some more origin and destination information, basically so we can understand demand a little better about where folks are going. So we're doing some checking on that. When you buy buses, full size, they're 12-year vehicles, so we're not quite ready for a technology refresh across the fleet, but we are looking. Didn't get approval this year for a grant, but next year we'll probably start a 2-year process to build an ITS master plan, which hopefully will take me through my retirement and about 15 years out. So I mean that's what we're trying to do is get some plans in place, because it's very difficult to figure out where we're going to be in another 5 or 10 years. We've got some other equipment we're deploying and that we're testing, and I'm hoping to get another research opportunity with VTTI so that we can look at understand a little bit better about how this technology can help shape transit systems in the future.
Craig, how about you? What kind of things do you have on the schedule now, technology-wise?
Right now, immediate. We're still going through the Google Transit. We're at final review right now. I guess that's the stage before pre-launch, and I'm excited about that, because that would definitely be a big thing, having a trip planner on the website and also in the app. So that's immediate. As far as the next step is, I would like also to have Wi-Fi on our long bus routes. We have a bus, just to give you an example, I'm located in Canton, Ohio, which is where the Hall of Fame, everybody should know where that's at. But in Canton, Ohio, we have a fixed route bus that goes to Cleveland, which is an hour away. So I would like to have a Wi-Fi on that, and as well as from Canton to Akron. Would like to update our fare collection and begin smart card technology as well. Right now we do tickets and cash on the old Odyssey boxes, and they can be modified to take various forms of payment. So those are the 3 things that SART is looking to do in the immediate to near future.
I'm curious, funding's come up quite a bit. Let's say we threw funding out the window and money were no object. What would you like to implement into your system today if you could? Let's start off with Tim.
Flying cars. If money was no object, this is a great question. Fully implement the technology. We've been doing a research project on dynamic routing and scheduling. And so if I had an infinite amount of money, what I would do today is build a system that allowed me to count how many people were waiting at every stop, because I really want to know whether or not I should even run that bus this loop or this route or this trip. So my answer to that question is to build a system that would assess demand in real time at the stop level. And if we didn't have anybody out there waiting on a bus, or no one had scheduled a trip, or no one had reserved a trip, we just let the bus sit. And when it's busy, I put the buses where the people are. And we've tried to. We've built the database. We've been working on this idea, but to actually get that at every stop in your system is you would need a money is no object issue. So there you go.
Well, interesting enough, the TripSpark flying car is on the product roadmap for Q2, so keep your eyes open for that one. We'll now flip it over to Craig on money's no object. What would you want to get in your agency today?
Well, SARTA is big on alternative fuel. We have a CNG site right here on our property. We also have diesel, but we have and our CNG fleet is growing more. And here in about a year, in about a year, we'll have our own fuel cell technology, our own fuel cell bus here as well at SARTA. So I guess with that in mind, I'd say an electric fleet or part of it. That's what I would lean more towards. I mean, technology is great, and but if money with no object, I would like to see that, since that's the way that the company seems to lean towards alternative fuels.
And Lourdes, money's no object. What would you put in Manatee today?
Our biggest complaint is our fare collection. And what I would do is put in fare collection solutions like, contactless smart cards or cashless payment, stop level reporting for fare collected, point of sales for fare media, and, like wireless upload for, to collect the data right now. It's just like that's our biggest issue right now is fare collection. So that would be what I think would work for us today.
Do your homework on whichever technology it is that you want to. I mean, whatever agency you end up or vendor you end up using, and really know what you want probably before you go in. Because automation, I think it works great for everybody, but if you can't maintain it, I think that would be a bad thing as far as financially. But just take your time with it and don't rush. Because we've had great success with our ITS and the different technologies that we've been able to implement here, and I think it does a lot for our community, and I think that it helps both sides. It helps us in-house as well as our riders. So whatever technology you end up deciding on, or whether or not you should take that step, I think if it's a choice of whether you should or you shouldn't, you definitely should just go at the pace that's needed.
Lourdes, any quick advice for agencies considering technology right now?
Yeah, I think it was mentioned before. The biggest thing is, like I said, we get a lot of federal grants, and we have a lot of people here in our agency that feel that, we have grants, we can pay for it. And the main thing is, like was mentioned before, was operating costs. That's one of our challenges here, and that's before you go out and purchase, you have to make sure that that you do your homework, like was said before, and that the funding that you have. Make sure you have your grants and you can pay for it, but then the operating, the operating cost of it. And if you're going to be able to do it like you implement the technology today, several years from now, are you going to be able to have that funding to do a tech refresh?
Okay, so lots of great things to keep in mind then when you're evaluating technology. And Tim, any advice for agencies?
Let me take up the rest of the time you have here. I think to echo what the other two presenters have said is, lifetime cycle costs, understanding that you're not buying hardware, you're not buying software, you're buying systems. And systems require long-term support. And as great as TripSpark or Mentor or Trapeze are, they're not in your building. And, you understanding what the long-term needs are in the building, in the bus to keep that stuff up and running. And on the other side, understand what you're buying, do your homework, and write a functional spec. If you don't know what a functional spec is, do a little reading, and don't just take an RFP from a vendor and or another agency and find and replace their name with your name, because you're going to miss a Georgia or a Virginia or something. Trust me, I've done it. Take the time to actually write an RFP that is based on what you need. And so all that means that it's going to take longer than you think it does. In order to write a real functional spec, you have to do a needs assessment. In order to do a needs assessment, you have to understand what you're actually doing as an agency. And that's not just project manager talk. That's not just stuff they put in the PMBOK. That's stuff that really matters. Since we're spending, most of this is taxpayer money, we should take the time to do it right.
So just to kind of sum that up, some common themes there. Definitely do your homework and take your time when you're evaluating technologies, and really think long-term planning on how it's going to affect you in the future and your riders. So just to wrap up, we did have a few questions in from attendees. The first one's actually directed to Craig about your IVR trip booking system. And the question is really whether passengers book more trips via the web or via the IVR trips.
Definitely the web. I think we have a considerable amount of our paratransit riders who use the web every day. They use it when we're closed. They can get on there and log on 24 hours a day. And it's the same with the IVR. However, that tends to be people from our blind community that use the IVR, call on the phone and hit the buttons, or it's very limited in comparison to the web. So definitely the web, and I hear about it when it doesn't go down often, but if we don't allow them to book 24 hours, we do allow them to cancel trips and view trips.
And then we had one more question that's more of generic, and I'll kind of open it up to the panel for anyone to tackle. But the question's really about, is there any challenges that you face in terms of fleet management or fleet maintenance management? And are you using any specific technologies to kind of help track and manage those?
This is a perennial problem when I talk to other places. I got my enterprise management system that does my inventory and tracks the parts and the mechanics hours. Doesn't talk well with my fuel system, and they were bought at separate procurements, 10 years apart. And then the information that I'm pulling off the buses with my TripSpark, my streets, I get funny odometer readings across the three systems and things like that. So we're trying to normalize. First, is we're pulling the data from all these places. We're trying to normalize it, and then we've added another component into it that we're actually pulling, the fuel data off or the mileage data using a little device that connects into the bus cam, the bus area network that pulls the actual fuel and odometer readings. I would not recommend anybody go down that path. That technology is not quite mature enough. But this is a huge issue, and one of the problems is that the maintenance guys, didn't talk to me when they procured systems, and the finance folks didn't talk to me. And so I would put another plug in here, is making sure that, if you're doing technology, if you're in charge of this, that you're having conversations, because, if to get bus maintenance right, they come to technology and I go, you didn't put the equipment on the bus when you bought it 8 years ago, I can't help you now. And so looking a little long term, I wish I could tell you go buy this system, but this is something that, there seems to be a need in the marketplace. I'd really love to see somebody build the system that worked well for all of us, but I haven't seen that yet.
Right, Craig or Lourdes, do you have anything to add to that about fleet maintenance management?
Well, when we do our ITS procurement, we're trying to integrate, because we're part of a county. So we're basically a division within a county. So we have fleet maintenance, which does our vehicle maintenance for us. When we move into the new building, we will be with we will have our own fleet there. I mean, it'll still be part of the county, but they will be only catering to our buses, not to all the vehicles within the whole entire county. Now, the thing I guess I would add into what Craig said is basically, you want to look at, we don't know if it's out there. We got maybe about a couple of years, and we're hoping that somebody will put that out there, that we can integrate with what they have. And I agree with Craig that we were not involved when our maintenance procured their software. So we would have to find something that integrates to do our yard management, because it's different. So it's either we integrate or we use something independently, and that the fleet that will be doing our fleet maintenance will have to basically use what we provide to them.
Thank you. And Craig, do you have anything to add there?
We're still on the fence of whether or not to change what we not that we have a solution like that. I mean, we have a somewhat of a solution. We also have cameras on all of our buses, and with that, you can also have a like a health maintenance type thing where you can log everything and see what's going on with the bus, as well as what's going on with your cameras on the bus and that type of thing. What we use now, we also have, of course, the EAM, Trappy's EAM. But as far as the automated, where you can see, I'm not the maintenance person, but I hope that what I see when I go to conferences, we end up using that type of technology, and I'm involved in the process. Because I think, as Tim said, that it's important for any technology that's going on the bus that we're all aware of, and that we all make the right decisions for our specific transit. So right now I don't have anything to add to what Tim said. I think he summed it up really well.
So I guess it's time to wrap up our session today. I just wanted to say thank you to our guest panel, Craig, Tim, and Lourdes, and really encourage those watching and participating today to visit the individual agencies' websites. As you learned today, they're all using lots of different types of technology and engaging with their riders in a whole pile of different ways. So please visit their sites and learn more about what they're doing. If you have any questions that weren't answered here, feel free to email us through our website at tripspark.com, and we'll respond individually. And we're also going to announce the next webinar series that will happen in a few months, which will really focus on funding. So that ties in really nicely with a lot of the concerns that have come up. So I just wanted to thank you all for attending, and our guest panel. Thank you very much.